All right, good morning. Welcome back to the show. Howdy, folks. Good morning. Happy Friday out there, world. Welcome to episode 114 of the School of Shred, the one and only, the show that's brought to you by the School of Shred Online Health Academy. What do we do at the Online Health Academy? Well, we get you holistically healthy through mind, body, and spirit. I'm John Reed. I've been a personal trainer for nearly 10 years now, and this is my online gift to the world, so to speak. No, seriously, to not be pretentious, but this is something I'm really excited about. I'm really proud of is this online health academy that I've created. And what it is it's a system that is designed to put you in a student role and take you out of a client role. And the idea with that is instead of just telling you what to do, I'm challenging you to actually take action steps weekly where you have to turn things in like a student, where you turn assignments in, where you share with your class, your class of peers every week. So we have some community that's laced in with the program. There's some true coaching going down because you're going to see me every week. We're going to meet. We have Zoom calls that we're on, which is rare in the online market that I've seen. A lot of times it's a PDF or a video series that might be done really well, but what it is might be missing, or what it is missing, I've noticed, is actual coaching from the person themselves. So if you join the Online Health Academy, what you're getting is actual one-on-one time with me every week via a video call. All right. And same time, be a recurring time every week. If you can't make those calls, you can watch the replays of them. If you're gone for a week, we have daily support sessions where you can have access to any questions you have. You can ask me that. That's where you'll also turn assignments in that shepherd you through this process. In the process, what I'm calling relearning what holistic health and fitness is, and relearning what health is. I think a lot of us, we have to relearn what we think health is, because there's a lot to it. And that's why I want to take a system like the School of Shred, where you go through a slow process. Every week you get a new assignment or a new topic to learn about. And it's empowering you to learn how to fish for yourself as opposed to having somebody fish for you. So it's something I'm really passionate about. The people who are doing it right now, they're getting great benefit out of it. It's been really eye-opening for me to see that this online thing really can be something beautiful and very beneficial if it's structured the right way. But again, if I were to just do a program that I sold that was some videos, my fear is that people don't actually do it. They buy it, and as soon as they buy it, that relinquishes the need that they had to get healthy, and then they don't follow it. The good thing about the Online Health Academy is there's a lot of accountability built in, because you're a personality within the group, and you have to show up. And so it might be a little intimidating in the beginning. It's supposed to be, but that's what's going to make you grow and get better. And that's what we do every week in our live classes, weekly assignments, all that good stuff. So go to theschoolofshred.com. Okay, and you can sign up there for the next class. Theschoolofshred.com. Sign up for the Online Health Academy. We work out of 90-day cycles, so one quarter at a time. So go pay your first quarter's tuition, and let's get working together. Let's get you where you need to be. There's workout classes, dietary stuff, habitat stuff, all sorts of goodness. So anyway, welcome to episode 114, everybody. Throw a flex emoji in the comments. Show me a little fire in the comments. Let's see it going. Let's see. We got Instagram flowing here. Throw me some flex emojis, people. I want to see some muscular contractions here early in the morning. You know how it goes. So today we got some questions. We got 3 questions that we're going to get into, and that's how we're going to end the week. All right. So again, as you guys are jumping on, go ahead and ask any questions you have, or if any of these topics today, they spark any more questions within your pretty little heart or your pretty little head, and you need any help or anything. If this sparks an idea or a question, go ahead and ask it in the comments. Go ahead and give me feedback, and we can shoot the as they say here on Friday, okay? So number one, let's pull this bad boy up so everybody who's watching can see this on the screen here. Number one, this was one that kind of can't come in last week. So we talked about keto. We usually talk about keto. Keto is great. So number one is, how long does it take to get into keto? So this is a really good question. And actually, this is one I haven't gone over on the show yet. So keto for those of you who don't know what ketosis is, it's when your body switches over and becomes adapted to burning fat for fuel and not burning glucose for fuel. All right, and this happens when you bring protein down and you bring carbohydrates down. Should say that in the opposite, the reverse order though. Really, it's when you bring carbohydrates down to almost none. So you're even counting trace carbohydrates, and then you're not doing enough protein to elicit this gluconeogenic response where your body will actually, your liver will create glucose out of excess amino acids. So it takes, non-glucose forms and turns them into glucose. So when you take all of that out of the system and you supply it with a bunch of dietary fat, you get into what's called ketosis, where you're actually burning fat. You're burning beta hydroxybutyrates and acetoacetates. And so those guys get you into ketosis. So the question is, how long does it take? So it takes, the person that I go to for this is a guy named Dom D'Agostino. He lives in Florida. This guy works with NASA. He's one of the spearheads for research on all things keto. There's also Jeff Volek and Steve Finney. Those guys did a lot of scientific journals in the beginning of this. Not the beginning. It's been around for like 30 or 40 years because of epilepsy is how they found keto. But for athletes and endurance and such, I think the book is called The Ketogenic Diet for Athletes, is what Steve Finney and Jeff Volek did. So those are good resources to look into. But Dom D'Agostino is very, very smart in this field, and like I said, a spearhead. And so he's a guy that we should look to when we're looking at things for keto, or we're looking at recommendations and such. So anyway, he says that it's 3 to 6 months. I've heard him say that. I've noticed, 4 to 6 weeks, but honestly, to be in keto consistently, it does take longer. And I think this is what people aren't expecting. And it's because there's a difference between burning ketones and being ketone adapted. Okay. So like right now I'm 36 hours in without food. I haven't eaten in a couple days right now. Okay. Happy Friday. And I am going back and forth between being keto, like over 1.5 millimolars per deciliter on my, if I take my blood ketones, and then I'll be down. Like if I go for a walk, my blood sugar goes up a little bit because my body's burning off some glucose. Glucose production goes up, and then ketones are going down. So I'm not always in ketosis. I'm keto-ish right now. Okay, but this question is, how long does it take to get in keto? So to get keto adapted takes a good amount of time of actually doing high fat, minimal protein, very minuscule to no carbohydrates. So it's not a quick process. So it takes consistency. And when you do that, though, what happens is your body's completely adapted to burning fats for fuel, and now it's not burning glucose. So that's the difference there. You can get metabolically flexible and start burning ketones for fuel, and your brain can burn fat for fuel within a couple days. And we'll talk about how you could do that if that's something that you want to. If that's something you're interested in, I'll give you a couple of recommendations here in a second. But so there's a difference. So there's a difference between burning fat and being fat adapted. Okay, burning fat can happen relatively quickly. Like right now, I'm burning a lot of fat after not eating for 36 hours, but I'm not fully keto adapted because I do eat carbohydrates. Depending on the week, I'll throw them in. So I'm not all or nothing on any one type of diet. I think creating that flexibility is really important. So I like me some good earth grown carbohydrates, like sweet potatoes and honey and fruits and stuff like that. Even though some people think that fruits are just super bad for you, but it's context. But anyway, so that's the difference there. So 3 to 6 months, if you want to be keto adapted and being keto all the time, you're looking at a few days if you want to just be able to burn fat. Okay. And the first order of priority, I think, for most people, most Americans, is going to be to stop this hypoglycemic response that we get where our brains cannot produce energy from fats. Okay. These fats are not crossing the blood-brain barrier. And that's a big issue that we have. And that's what creates hypoglycemia, because then the brain signals the liver to create sugar, and then insulin's released, takes the sugar out of the blood. So then the brain can't get the sugar it needs, and you keep getting these blood sugar lows, which leads to insulin resistance because you're producing insulin too much, and then you get some resistance, and then it leads into pre-diabetes and ultimately some type 2 diabetes, which we're seeing a lot of now. So the first order operation is for people to be able to at least burn some ketones. I think that's a good general statement, is to at least be able to go back and forth, be metabolically flexible. I've talked about that before. I don't think 100% of people need to be on keto. I don't recommend that. I recommend dietary choices on a case-by-case basis when I work with clients. But there is some general rules, and one of them is that you want to be able to have flexibility within how your metabolism functions. All right, you want metabolic efficiency, metabolic flexibility. So if you wanted to get into keto and you were interested in doing that and just getting some ketones up over the course of a couple of days, just so your body can go back and forth. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't want to cut carbs out of your life forever, but this idea of being metabolically flexible seems like a cool idea. Okay, so that's great. So what you can do is if you do a couple days where you're doing like a keto macro split of 75% fat, 25% protein, 5% carbs. Now these are general navigation tools, I would say, that you need to test with the blood ketone monitor. And so if you get one of those, you can pick them up on the big Amazon, have it shipped right to your door. And I like the Keto Mojo. And you can prick your finger, you can take blood glucose, and you can also take blood ketones and see, how high you can get those bad boys. So ketosis is 1.5 to 3.0 millimolars per deciliter. That's kind of the sweet spot. But again, to get in there, you're going to be doing 75% fat. So if you did 2,000 calories a day, it would look like 166 grams of fat, which is going to be way different than what most people are used to seeing in their macro split. It would be 125 grams of protein. And it would be 25 grams of carbs. Okay, and you're counting trace carbs as well. So if you're new to this, I would recommend doing some tracking on something like MyFitnessPal. If you really wanted to be in like clinical keto, to know really how to navigate into this realm of ketosis. And then as soon as your eyes see what the food would look like on a day-to-day basis, you can pull back on all of the tracking if you want to. You might like tracking. I tracked my food for years and years. Now I eat very intuitively. But I've also been, pursuing this health thing for like 10 years now. So I've seen many thousands of meals, so I know what I need. So anyway, that's a great way to do it. So 75% fat, 25% protein, 5% carbs based off of your calories. And that right there can get you in the keto range. Another thing is if you couple that with fasting, so like a 16-hour fast daily with an 8-hour feeding period of these high fats, that is also going to help you get into ketosis. I do these longer fasts, these 2-day fasts quarterly, sometimes sooner, and depending on how much body fat I want to shred off. But anyway, when you start fasting, what you do is you up ketone production. So honestly, what a low carb diet does is it kind of mimics the effects of fasting. That's really what a low carb keto macro split does. And if you combine them, you can get that keto response you want. So anyway, that's the answer to that question there is how long does it take to get in keto? If you want to be fat adapted, it takes a long time, or, a couple months. You got to invest your time. So 3 to 6 months. You want to test your blood ketones regularly. You don't want to use urine strips. Those are not as accurate. And if you just want to be able to burn ketones, that's different. That's not being keto adapted, but that can happen within a couple weeks or a couple days, depending on how you do it. If you want to get into keto, do a 75% fat split, 25% protein, 5% of your calories will come from carbs, and then you can fast to help elicit that response as well. All right, next question. Any questions on that? Anybody? Go ahead and ask them as we're rolling through this thing. All right, the next question is number 2, is the best food for building muscle? This is a good question. So I want to bring up somebody that a lot of people don't know about. And this is a guy named Vince Gironda, who's an old bodybuilder in the 50s, had a super impressive physique, totally natural. So he was against anabolic substances and things like that. And I think there's a lot to be learned from these old school cats who had just amazing physiques, looked like Greek gods, and they were natural, and they were doing this before we had supplements and protein powders and creatines and all this stuff. And I think it's really interesting to look at what they were doing. A lot of what these guys did is they did full body routines, 3 to 4 days a week. So they didn't train an insane amount. They didn't train twice a day and all of that. It's hard to recover the CNS when that happens. So they trained, but they trained hard when they trained. They didn't train like a bunch of sissies. They trained hard, and they did full body numerous times a week. So they sent a muscle building signal to every tissue every 48 to 72 hours. That's what Vince did. I think he did upper lower split at sometimes as well. But no more split up than that. There was no like chest day, back day, leg day type thing. And that's because you're capitalizing on frequency, training frequency. But another thing that Vince Gironda really brought to my attention, studying this guy over the last, I found about him several years ago, that, because I've always been on the hunt of how to build the most natural muscle possible. And what I liked about Vince was he had a different approach, and he was talking about organ meats, eating nose to tail. He was talking about consuming a lot of cholesterol, because cholesterol is the backbone to testosterone. And we all are terrified of cholesterol in this society now because of Ansel Keys' diet heart hypothesis that has been just shown to be untrue, fabricated, bought and paid for science many times over at this point. So I think we can all admit that we need cholesterol. We need a good amount of cholesterol. High HDL cholesterol seems to be a good thing. High LDL cholesterol in the absence of HDL seems to be fatal and not good. So it's all in context though. But what this tells me, and kind of what Vince's whole shtick was, what his thing was consuming egg yolks and beef liver. So he would take beef liver capsules and eat a lot of organ meats and full fat creams that have saturated fat. And he would consume, obviously, the liver has the highest amount of B vitamins, the highest amount of retinoids or vitamin A, the active form of vitamin A, which helps with growth hormone secretions. It's a superfood. It's nature's multivitamin. Beef liver is a good grass-fed beef liver, and really any kind of organ meat. It has all the complementary nutrition that we need. But then he was also big into this consuming a lot of eggs. So he would tell people to consume 36 eggs a day, and it would be as equivalent as taking a cycle of Deca, which is a steroid. And there's forums online that you can find where people have tried this, and they actually start getting backney and gaining a ton of size and kind of getting all the telltale signs that somebody who might be taking anabolic substances get. So interesting stuff, food for thought. But the reality is that we do know that cholesterol helps with androgen production. It does help up testosterone production. It is the backbone for androgens, and it's also crucial in the formation of vitamin D. Vitamin D helps elicit calcium and helps turn that into stronger bones for us and makes us grow, and that brings up growth hormone as well. So Vince Gironda was at least 12 whole eggs a day guy. Definitely the yolks where the magic happens, because there's vitamin D in there, and there's also vitamin A. So that, with all that said, what is the best food for building muscle? I like the eggs. I like whole eggs post-workout because they have protein. They have complete protein. They have vitamin D. They have choline, which creates acetylcholine, which is good for neurotransmitter production and also to get you in a parasympathetic state, which is a rest and digest state. And then it also has cholesterol. Cholesterol, again, is the backbone for the anabolic process. So that's something that I think most people aren't expecting from this question. Most people are expecting maybe an insulin spike thing or something, but consider loading up on cholesterol post-workout. Consider trying to jam a bunch of good fats and good androgen creating molecules into your bloodstream right after a workout. And this could be the thing that you're looking for to build muscle. In addition to that, we can also talk about insulin spikes. So you can spike insulin, which helps stop the catabolic process post-workout. So you can do that with a mixture of starches and fructose. So things like a sweet potato and some raw honey. That's one way I like to do it. And then you could also do something like a white rice and fruit, where you're pairing carbohydrates. So the starches like potatoes, sweet potatoes, or rice, things like that. Those guys will help replenish glycogen within the muscle. And then you have fructose, fruit sugar, that will help actually shut off the catabolic process in the liver, which can be helpful. So basically, you're telling your body in numerous ways to stop the breaking down process and start the rebuilding process. You spike insulin too much, it is anabolic in certain, especially if you're sensitive to it, it's anabolic. But if you're doing it too much, you could run the risk of potential fat gain. But if your goal is to build muscle, you're going to probably want to gain a little bit of fat too. So that's kind of the insulin side of the house, but you can pick your poison. A lot of time for me, trying to stay really lean, I'm doing something like steak and eggs after a workout. If I eat right away at all, I actually, I do a lot of fasting around those times, but I do have times of the year where I do like to try and test that out again, the insulin spike thing. So I might be doing some, cream of wheat with maybe dates in it, or that good mixture of carbohydrates, and be spiking, and you can get great results with that for building muscle and staying lean as well. So those are some things to try out. So we'll go on to the next question. All right, last one of the day, and then we're going to move on unless anybody has any questions. So I have a question here about body odor. So suggestions for body odor when converting to a natural deodorant. This is a really good one. This is something that is, I think, probably embarrassing for a lot of people to talk about. So, this is, this person remains anonymous, and hopefully this helps you if you're trying to convert to natural products, which I think you definitely should. There's a lot of environmental toxins that are exacerbating cancers and metabolic syndrome, all sorts of issues we're having, mental illness. I mean, it's, people thought that this was woo-woo quacky stuff. Everything that goes on or in our body matters, people. So the kind of deodorant you use matters, with all the stuff they put in those to preserve them. Your skin is it is like the number one, that and your gut are the number one and number two places. The top places that you absorb things is your skin and your large intestine, or your small intestine. So things you put on your skin matter. Sunscreens matter. Deodorants matter. Cologne, spraying that stuff on you matters. The kind of body wash you use matters. So, but when you're converting out of that, the reason we all like that is because it's convenient. The smell's good, and it can be hard to make the switch into this natural hippy dippy stuff. I get it. So when you do that, you might get a little stinky. You might have to deal with that. So a couple reasons for being stinky. Let's talk about the physiology of it. You have eccrine. You have two glands. You have two glands that are sweat glands that excrete fluid. Okay. So you have eccrine glands, which are what produce the clear, neutral smelling liquid. Okay. Those are what happen when you exercise, and they help cool the body. That's like, if you ever notice, you don't really smell if you're in the regular routine of drinking a lot of water and sweating and working out and all that good stuff. You might in the beginning, because it's very stressful to your body, which leads us into the second gland, which is called apocrine. The apocrine glands, those are in the armpits, where there's hair, but the armpits and the groin. Okay. And this is, get ready for this. This is what produces a milky fluid that smells when it interacts with bacteria. So a couple reasons for this. If you have a diet that doesn't agree with your body, maybe you're eating something, even if it's deemed healthy, but for some reason you're having an immune response to it, you might be extra stinky because of that. Okay. If your microbiome is thrown off and you're not replenishing good bacteria, you're not taking care of your gut, you might be excreting more fluids from these apocrine glands. You might be, getting this stress sweat going, as opposed to this, neutral sweat, this cooling sweat that would come from a different gland, the eccrine gland. So that's a big one. So you got to look at food. As you correct your food consumption over time, and you start eating things that agree with your body, and you start taking care of your gut microbiome through maybe having some bone broth daily, and probiotics like sauerkraut, kimchi, things of that sort. That right there can really, really help get some of this body odor down. And then, if all else fails in the meantime, you don't want to be stinking, you don't want to convert back to this other deodorant or whatever you're using, you can take a swab of alcohol, rubbing alcohol, vinegar, or hydrogen peroxide and wipe it under your armpits or any other area that you feel like is stinky and you're kind of battling through. So those are kind of some natural remedies to do that. You can also, right now we can't really do it because it's in November, but in the summertime I go outside and I try to expose my armpits to the sun to try and help with that. So you can kind of burn off some of the bacteria there that make you stinky. So things to try out. Again, hippy dippy with a little bit of science, which is where it all lies. It's where the truth lies, people. Is a combination of nature and this beautiful science that we have. So that is it. So do that and then stay the course. Try and find a good deodorant that you enjoy, that you feel like is helping control your stinkiness or your odor, and be patient because it takes some time when we're getting our body on these natural products, but it's well worth it in the long-term vision because we want to get these harmful chemicals out. So that is it for today. Unless anybody has any other questions, I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. But again, the School of Shred Online Health Academy, right now we're doing 30% off. So if you guys are watching this live, you can sign up for the first 90 days for 30% off. If you go to theschoolofshred.com, we do weekly check-ins in a classroom setting, taking you out of the role of being a client and putting you in the role of being a student, okay, where you have accountability attached to everything I'm giving out to you. You have to create new habits. You have to examine your habits. It's much more than just getting a diet and exercise program. This is a full in-depth coaching experience online. It's the only one of its kind right now. And, I'm very confident that as time goes on, you might see some other programs that look like this because this is a great way to run online. So I would love to work with you. I would love to help you every week. So go to theschoolshred.com. You can sign up there and get the coaching you need and deserve. Even while being stuck at home, all this stuff can be done from anywhere. This whole curriculum could be done from anywhere. You just need an internet connection for the weekly live classes, but all the other stuff, the back office, the videos, the community chat daily, all that good stuff, that is right at your fingertips, wherever you're at, whether it's home, work, whatever. So, all right. With that, I want everybody to stay strong and healthy in body, stay relentless, energized in spirit, and stay determined in your pursuits. All right. That spells shred. Now go shred the day and get better in every way. I will see you guys on Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until next time, class is dismissed.